Hey everyone, coming from last week's Let's Talk video to this, welcome to Alex Henne defends people from being falsely accused of crimes because, fun fact, harassment is a legally punishable crime, everybody. Now, somebody known as Jake online has made a video titled Why I Hate Charged Life, a video filled to the fucking brim with inaccuracies and lies in order to push the narrative that my friends are con artists and criminals. So, without further ado, let's get into his arguments.
Now this is not the worst idea I've ever heard. It's reskin limited life with a bit more randomness and a tagger.
No, it isn't. Just because it uses numbers to tell how low you are does not make it inherently a limited life clone. Limited life runs based off of time, whereas charge life has its own independent form of charge loss, which isn't via seconds, or any form of time for that matter. For example, using Osu in Guitar Hero, using your formula, Osu is just a reskinned Guitar Hero. But it's not. They're both rhythm games, yes, but their formula is different. Limited Life and Charged Life are both number-based life series, yes, but the way they go about the system is different between the series. If you lost the charge every second, or at a consistent timed rate, then maybe a case could be made. However, from how I see it, they are different bases. You could say it's inspired by Limited Life, yes, but calling it a reskin or clone just isn't true.
But I do not think this idea is worth 15 euros.
First off, good job for making an opinionated video with very few opinions, and this one being one of the only ones. While I agree the idea isn't worth $15 or euros, I do believe that the plugin is worth as much. I'll go into that later, so we're going to leave this part here.
Apparently, some people have tried to remake the plugin with their own code, but they apparently got screamed at by people associated with the plugin for trying to remake the plugin.
I have no clue where they pulled this from, except for out of their ass, because even when they first started selling the stuff towards the end of Timed Life, they had stated they were fine with people remaking it. Not only are they saying that they're not against recreations, but they admit that their system isn't perfect. They are aware and take accountability of that part. And he also says, by people associated with the plugin. Who are you talking about, Jake? That is a very broad and not specific at all claim. Is he talking about Cake C, the creator of the data pack? Is he talking about Simon and Wizard, the owners? Is he talking about the mod team? Is he talking about all the players? All the, 30 players? And the lack of any evidence for this whatsoever is surprising when you're going to be making an allegation of what is literally just harassment. You need to make sure you have screenshots and proof for such a very legally bad claim.
Everyone is free to make their own version of it, and there's nothing they can do about it. They do not legally own the idea, and even if they did, which they don't, they couldn't stop someone from making a similar version of it, as long as they don't monetize it.
Yes, this is true. However, from what I am getting... Oh, sorry, voice crack. From what I am getting, what Jake is referring to here is a false twist of another narrative of someone else who took the original data pack, made minimal changes to it, and called it their own, using a data pack that was bought and illegally distributed. I won't dwell too much on this now, as it will come back up later.
I just think it's a overall shitty business practice from their part. I expect more from them.
This one gets me. How are you gonna sit here and say you expect literal children to know how to run a business? Not only that, but it seems you yourself don't know a single thing about it. I'd like to bring up a certain case. Quote, on February 11th, 2021, the channel was renamed to SML due to Logan receiving a cease and desist letter from Nintendo, thus forcing Logan to rename all his channels to remove any mention of the company's popular characters. The letter also forbade Logan to use the plush versions, which also meant that Logan had to switch to using human puppets from now on. End quote. I bring up the SML cease and desist because what you are falsely accusing what seems to be everyone from Clock Life of doing is the exact same thing Nintendo did to Logan. He completely recreated everything. The only thing similar was the characters' names and appearance, and that was enough for legal action. While I believe myself that Nintendo is in the wrong for doing that, it is still business.
Now I have heard that they claim that the plugin costs that much, because of the fact that the developers put a lot of effort into the plugin, which yeah, they probably did spend some time on it relative to how simple the idea is. But that does not mean that it's good enough to cost 15 euros.
Yes, that has been said. What also has been said, each time this has ever been brought up, is that it also is used to pay for the server so that the series can continue on. I know this is reiterating a lot of the same points that have already been made, but spreading small bits of information and leaving out other big parts to paint your own narrative is fucked up and just slander. And to prove just how little research this guy actually put into his video, if you go into the Q&A of Clock Life, the very first thing you see is them saying that the money goes back to the owners, creator of the data pack, and into the server that costs $35 a month to keep up, so that they can keep 40 players on the server at a time.
Well, there's this plugin called Vehicles Plus, which is the best vehicles plugin on the market. Now, how much does this plugin that a few people have spent hundreds of hours on and over 1,000 people have bought cost? 10.95 euros. That is almost 2/3 of what the Charge Life plugin costs, and it used to be even cheaper, costing about 8 euros from what I remember.
This is by far the dumbest and most idiotic statement I've ever heard. You are reaching for straws to find any and all reasons you can bitch and moan. Let me get this straight. Are you saying that because G Fuel sells their drinks at $5 less than GamerSupps, that GamerSupps needs to bring their price down? No. And it would be stupid to believe such. You, again, are fighting based off of the fact that you refuse to acknowledge that the price also pays for the server, just so you can push this narrative that work to cost ratio is outrageous.
Now, another quick thing about the Charge Life plugin is that they are threatening to ban people if they share the Charge Life plugin. Now, the Vehicles Plus plugin team also does this, but as previously mentioned, more work and effort has been put into that plugin, and it's also cheaper, so they deserve to be that harsh about it. I do not believe that the Charge Life people deserve to be that harsh.
So, I want to get this straight. Are you telling me that if a person decides to buy Hello Neighbor and then illegally distribute it to one of their friends, therefore pirating it to them, that they should face no repercussions because Five Nights at Freddy's had more effort put into it? The amount of mental gymnastics this guy is reaching just to make people hate a community, I'm not going to say small or sizable, but to hate a community of good people is insane.
Another thing we can see is if we look at the previous screenshot that Progress sent, is that they are charging 15 euros for a data pack for Timed Life. If the price of the work on the Charge Life plugin was outrageous, this is just totally despicable.
I'll be honest, at first I was iffy with them selling Timed Life as well. In the private chats, I was putting concern that should the official Life series notice, it could lead to legal action. I did continue my research, and while I wouldn't pay for it, I completely understand why others would. People enjoy the series. Obviously, if given the chance to play with the official data pack, anybody would be stoked. If Third Life dropped their official plugin or data pack today for $20, we all know anyone and everyone would swipe that in seconds, overpriced or not. You are coming over here and expressing that $15 is so much, then I want you to try to make a popular series, data pack or plugin, hosted on a good paid server with 30 plus people, and tell me what you would price it at then. Hosting one of these is incredibly stressful, especially if you're in the position where it's hard to keep paying for a server. I had a similar issue with Lifecycle and Life Recycle. I myself never had much money, always been a poor boy, but I used what little money I did get from my job to try to make something for a group of people I like. What you are doing is shitting on people for doing the same and trying to keep it up and running. Do I think all the money goes straight back into the series? No, definitely not. But do I think a large portion of it does? Most definitely. I've known Simon for almost a year now. He's not the kind of person to intentionally try to fuck innocent people over. Same with Cake, and I'm sure with Wizard too. This whole video is full of misrepresentation and information intentionally left out to paint a negative narrative of good people who don't deserve it. What you are doing here is just the deaf noodles of this community, bro. Like, quit your yapping and tell the fucking truth. Now, I tried to figure out if this guy has any ties to anyone who'd hold a grudge against Simon. Obviously, there's some drama that have happened in the past, like, year. But going through, I can't find a single person in any of his videos that I can recognize from this community. So from what I'm getting out of all this, is that Jake merely saw a few messages, saw the cost of the data pack and the plugin, and immediately jumped to people associated are scumbags, which means he did zero research, put zero effort into trying, and instead of trying to clear things up by asking literally anybody anything, he made accusations on harassment, scamming, and a plethora of other things without knowing literally anything. Do you really want to try and take word from somebody who won't even look into the one thing they're making a video on? Which, due to Jake's major lack of inquiry, I do believe a legal case could be had, if Clock Life so wishes. I don't think it would be wise, and I don't think they will, because I know they know it's not wise, but Jake likes to bring up the legality of everything. So I figured I'd throw out that false claims, or slander, can be taken to court. Checkmate.